Hello everybody and welcome to Aavak and Sheilab's new Alpha 18 playthrough of 7 Days to Die.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Also, hello lumberjack zombies.
Yes, we are in a snowy biome again.
Yeah, well, I mean, this was the biome midway between the two of us, right? Okay, we're surrounded by lumberjacks. Sheilab, are you
I got
prepared?
some water.
You've got some water. I'm sure a lumberjack will stop
I
being
have some fists.
so mean. No, infection is no joke in Alpha 18.
Yeah.
Also,
we are going to run away rather than that.
Is ultra useless in Alpha 18. Okay, so yeah, we're starting off with a bit of an interesting activity.
Combat.
There we go.
I'm like not going near it, I'm afraid. I'm going to do some of my starter quests.
Oh, there we go. The lumberjack started charging at me, as you could see there. This is a new feature in Alpha 18. Zombies will have a kind of a rage buff when they are damaged.
Feature.
I mean, I actually kind of think it's pretty cool.
It's cool.
But,
it's just...
It does make the game a lot harder. And this is probably one of the chief differences between 18 and 17. I mean, there's no big new mechanics in the game. Quite a lot of mechanics have been refined and further balanced. Some have been changed to more or less experiment with them. But overall, the addition of the rage mode for zombies has made it so much more dangerous.
Yeah.
Infection, melee, these things have been refined.
It's a mixture of infection alongside an increased reach, alongside a rage mechanic. Those three together seem pretty deadly.
Yeah. You'll have to forgive me if I try to avoid going for melee attacks. They are different now. And I found a stun baton, so that's better than my wooden club, if nothing else. I'll take it. But yes, so there are lots of things that are going to be different in A18. You are going to see us being reasonably cautious because neither one of us is as familiar with the do's and don'ts of A18 versus A17. That is Alpha 17 and Alpha 18. We are going to try and find a base. We're going to try and bunker down. Going to try and take our time and be safe. And generally not make any silly mistakes. But be warned. Deaths are almost an inevitability. And probably quite a few compared to our last foray into 7 Days to Die. So, go into this with eyes wide open.
Also, there is a much slower curve. So don't expect us to be leveling as fast this time.
But we will be able to do things much earlier in level than we were able to in Alpha 17. Quite a lot of the level gates have been removed, if not all of them, actually. But as a consequence, leveling is a fair bit slower, and there's a good reason for that. Whereas previously you might hit level 40 fairly quickly, a level 40 character now who decides to hyper-specialize can be incredibly powerful within their very specific, perhaps even narrow, if you would like to put it that way, field of interest. Yeah. They might be very, very potent characters as a direct result of that. So getting to level 40 in the same sort of speed kind of breaks the balance of the game in a way. So yes, there are quite a few differences now. I've got just enough to make another 13
cows. It's a deer, that's fine. Whenever I see an animal, I'm like, is it a boar? Is it a wolf? Is it a deer?
I'm gathering as much stuff as I can right now, Sheilab, just so that we have materials. There is a lumberjack heading straight for us. I don't know if it's actively seen us or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had at that range. It's definitely seen us now. Sorry,
that was my fault. I thought you meant another lumberjack that was over fairly far away, and then I was like, no, that one. No, but we're faster than he is, so that's fine.
Yes. Now there are some new mechanics in the game. Well, not so much mechanics, but new components that enhance previous mechanics, like the melee mechanic. You now got new weapons. You've got fist weapons, so knuckle dusters, wraps, that sort of thing. You can absolutely be a pugilist now, and it comes with its own perk tree and a lot of interesting things that make it a viable combat mechanic. Chief amongst them, the ability to punch a zombie's teeth out, thereby removing its ability to infect. Which honestly, given how easy it is to get infected in Alpha 18, is a pretty amazing ability. But it does come with significant risk, because if you flub the first attack, then you are still at risk of being infected. So, you know, you got to take it for what it's worth. There are spears now as well. You may have noticed I just picked up a stun baton. It's a new intelligence-based weapon. Basically, all of the perks, all of the attributes have one melee and at least one melee and at least one ranged weapon that is attached to that attribute. So being good with pistols is no longer the arena of perception alone. In fact, pistols are an agility weapon, whereas rifles are a perception weapon. The stun baton is an intelligence melee weapon, whereas javelins are a perception melee weapon, so on and so forth. And so we will probably find, Sheila and I will more than likely gravitate towards different weapons, because we tend to have slightly different playstyles. And as a result, we will probably be investing quite a lot of our skill points into specific attributes. And so
I need to pick up wood, but I keep being chased by lumberjacks instead.
There are green trees, which is what I've been gradually moving towards, because they're not going to be in temperate.
I think beyond there is temperate.
Yeah, and that's what I would like. As much as it was wonderful to have ready access to snow and thereby never needing to go anywhere to get water, I think it might be nice to have a different kind of start.
I mean, also, we can still come to the snow biome now we know where it is and just dig up a load of for water if we need.
Absolutely,
no problem.
There's a wolf there. Don't really fancy fighting a wolf with a basic bow. Did you say you've made a spear?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably be in. I was in the middle of making it, so it was just in my thing.
Stone spear, there they are. I would recommend, as a general rule for anyone playing, to make multiple spears. Spears benefit from your ability to throw them. They are a melee ranged weapon. It's one of the only ones, and in fact, the spear is one of the only.
Demonstrate throwing it.
Yeah, go for it.
There we go.
Didn't even see where you threw it. Oh right, you threw it on the ground in front of you.
Yeah. See?
Yeah. But one of the big advantages of the spear is that you can use it in melee through bars. It's the only weapon that can be used that way. It's the only melee weapon that can attack through bars.
I was trying to use it through bars because I was in this little point of interest the other day, and there was like this zombie in that, and I was trying to like get his legs through the bars, and I was really struggling to do it. I don't know if there's a particular knack to it. Oh,
well, perhaps, and this is something that is we're going to have to force science this, because it's something I've been wondering about. Perhaps when they say that it can be used through bars, what they mean is that you can throw it through bars.
But you can't stab it through bars.
Yeah, possibly. We'll have to have a look at that one, because that's definitely something I would like to know. Hello, lumberjack. But I'd sooner have you following me than a wolf, because wolves are fast, lumberjacks are not.
Yes.
I can basically leave the lumberjack behind without too much issue.
Different matter at night, but yes.
Well, yes. I think as long as you're unencumbered and you've got means of rapidly restoring your stamina, you're probably still safe. Simply because you can run faster than a zombie can. Yeah. As a general rule.
So we're just pilfering any bird's nest we can at the moment, because basically in Alpha 18, what we've realised, or the way we're trying to play is more projectile-based combat.
Yeah.
As much as
We've
possible.
had an opportunity to play around a little bit with Alpha 18 on the Dappling 7 Days to Die server. We haven't played it at any significant length of time.
As well, and things like that. So it's,
So range does seem to be, at least for the time being, the safer option. Largely because we're not confident with the limitations of the new melee system.
Yeah.
Whereas we knew exactly how close you needed to get to a zombie to smack it and be out of its range before it could counterattack in Alpha 17. All the rules of the game have changed for Alpha 18. That is not as safe.
We're kind of are we moving towards anything in particular at the moment, Aavak? Because we're moving away from this temperate biome.
I'm moving towards the, well,
trader?
A, the temperate biome, and B, the trader, which is
Okay,
in
fair
this
enough.
direction, 500 meters in this direction. Have you completed your quests yet? Because there's a
No,
good
I haven't.
chance.
I've been just following you around. I was trying to get out of the range of the lumberjacks because they kept like getting me every time I wanted to get my wood and things like that. So
Yeah,
right,
sure.
so I'm going to make my frame block. So it shouldn't be too long if I'm on that point, actually.
Yeah, I'm holding off on spending any skill points right now because I would like, with the fact that leveling up is so much slower now, I would want to confer with Sheilab a bit more on how we're going to spec, just so that we're not making wasteful decisions. Though, again, as with Alpha 17, my general opinion on this sort of stuff is play the game in the way that makes it fun for you. So if someone else has got a certain skill, but you just genuinely think that that would be the fun way for you to play the game, then take that skill yourself. Don't worry about it. I'm paused here because this is an iron rock. Now, the game used to have like material boulders, so lead boulders, iron boulders, that sort of stuff, surface level metals, but then they were taken out. And there were various mechanisms by which you could try and work out where a vein might be underground. But these have been brought back in. They also look pretty cool. So this is an iron rock. And as you can see there, the ground is iron. Wherever you find a resource boulder like this, underneath there is a guaranteed area, a vein that you can mine. So whilst I'm not interested in doing anything with it just yet, I am in fact going to drop down a waypoint, X marks a spot, iron. And I'll do this generally when I spot these. I think I've already passed one, but I wasn't ready to...
Yeah, I've got the same trader as you, thankfully.
Discuss what it was. Oh, fantastic. Then let's make rapid progress in their direction. That's going to get us a decent way into knowing where we can come for various supplies. Right, so duffel bag, sports bag over here. What we want to do is find... Oh, vitamins, nice. What we want to try and do... you can grab that one. Actually, because I've got like 36 feathers on me and a handful of arrows, so I'm not doing too bad. There's another lumberjack, but I don't feel like engaging right now. Ooh, blueberries. 100% going to grab you. I'm going to grab you with my torch. Honk. Because my torch takes no durability damage. It hasn't got durability, whereas my axe would, and I don't have a convenient spot on my hotbar for my fists. I like games which have a mechanism where it's like a hotkey. It'll bring your fists up. Doesn't matter what your hotbar is. If you press that key, you're now you're now unarmed and ready to use your fists.
Snowberry, not blueberry. Man,
we've got corn already. Wow. Okay, well,
you have to fight that lumberjack for it, I think.
Well,
oh no, he's off. If we wait a sec, he might not.
If I just zoom in and grab all of the
there's a lumberjack coming
plants.
after you, by the way. He spotted you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just grabbing the corn plants. I don't really care if he's following me around, as long as I stay ahead of him. Simply so that if you grab them behind him,
I'll give you a hand so that we don't have to be here any longer than we are.
I mean, I guess I can try and take him out. In fact, this is a good opportunity for me to demonstrate the power of a spear. Right, be aware, Sheilab, I am launching spears at the lumberjack. Okay. I did not say that you were allowed to run, lumberjack. In fact, I think that's kind of cheating. All right, you're running me into your pal over there. Clever, bit annoying, but definitely clever. Also, I am going to be that dumb. Let's save waypoint, iron. Aha! Combat cartographer. Right, let me take you out. Those two spears are flashing red because I can 100% pull them back out of him. And the spears project quite reasonably far from a zombie's body, but don't for a moment think that you can grab them without being in melee range, because you are almost in melee range.
They can hit you. If you're grabbing your spear, they can hit you.
Yeah, more or less. As you saw there, I grabbed one, but it was still a bit of a risky proposition. And this is why I say to have multiple spears. So I've got 3 throws of a spear. Yeah, though there is another one between us and the
if I can get a bit more wood, I can make quite a few more spears. I've been collecting stone a lot.
As a quick overview, a basic level 1 spear does 10 melee damage, or a power attack, which is when you throw it, does 39 damage. By comparison, my stone arrows, I think 25 damage. I don't know why the primitive bow says that it's got a range damage. Is that added? Because
I never know how it works.
I don't feel that it's doing 42 points of damage. I mean, as auspicious as that number is, I don't get that impression.
Right, we're gonna want to try and clear out a little place to duck down for the night pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, let's get into the trader. If for no other reason than to mark it off our map.
Yeah.
We've got some temperate trees over there. Well, actually not. I thought they were temperate trees. There's a little.
It does look like it turns temperate over there.
Of temperate areas here. Right, if
Love
you
this
close
log
those doors
cabin.
behind you.
That log cabin effect trader.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and loot some areas that this trader always seems to have. And that is if you go down the well, you find a little...
I'm just going to go and see him and say hello.
Destroyed chem station. With some more vitamins,
He's got
not too
a
bad.
cool big furry suit on.
Well, I mean, this is the cold biome, so that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so I don't have much
mushrooms,
money
but I can't
to
eat those.
trade with you, mister, right now. But we have a working forge here.
Don't mind me. There we go. Oh, actually, yes, do mind me. I went in a big old circle. What a derp I am. How did I manage to do that? Usually my senses of reaction in these games is a bit better than this. I do apologize. Paintbrush. Got a decent amount of vitamins. I think I've got 3 now. Right. Oh. I bet that's where the actual trader is. He doesn't need to know that I've been down here. No one tell him.
Dum-de-dum-de-dum.
I might try to sell some of the things to him that I have.
Oh, it's a destroyed one. Boo. Cement mixer's destroyed here.
Okay.
But the forge works.
Don't mind me, trader, while I quickly loot your kitchen.
Oh, and the workbench is destroyed too. But we've got a steel pickaxe from the get-go.
Oh,
Hurrah!
wow. Indeed.
Very nice.
Don't, but I got your vitamins, which you can give me money to have back. I'm totally okay with that.
I will sell you back your stuff.
Yeah. How magnanimous of me.
Right.
I mean, most of this stuff is no particular use to me right now. I think you might be able to sell those if you've got them in a large enough number. We'll keep hold of this for now. Now, one of the really, really cool parts of Alpha 18 is they've reverted some of their changes with regards to magazines and schematics. You can now find schematics in the world that you can't get any other way, but also you can find schematics for things you would be able to get with just regular skill progression, meaning you don't need to invest points in order to get that item or that skill. So, for example, you might find a schematic that lets you make goldenrod tea without ever having to put any points into cooking. Things like that. So that's another thing that Sheila and I will probably confer a lot on, in that we will want to make sure that we're not reading schematics that we would pick up with our normal skill progression anyway. For example, if I was going to do cooking.
And also we want to try and
in
keep the groups together. So, like, if I'm collecting a group, it'd be good to have the things from that group. Oh, geez.
Hello, Zombo. Come on in. I'm just going to let him in, and then I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave Trader Hugh to deal with this himself. Goodbye, Trader Hugh.
Bye, Trader Hugh.
Right.
We left you lots of lumberjack friends. See, I've gone on a little bit ahead just to scout out to see if I can see any buildings or anything.
Right here. You're definitely going into a temperate area. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're going into... I went into the temperate area. However, it seems to be pretty desolate right now. So we're going to have to do a bit of a run.
Well, if we can get up onto one of the mountains...
Yeah, I'll head to the mountain and I'll see what I can see from up there.
Yeah. That would be the best thing for us to do. Another thing you may have noticed is that, especially if I include any of the early game footage of me gathering materials, is that you've got a lot more stamina now. Or rather, stamina doesn't decline with activity in the same way that it used to. You can do a lot more with the same amount of stamina than you could do in Alpha 17. A lot more. Part of that is, I think, certain tools, like the very early game starter tools, such as the Stone Axe, have a kind of stamina buff to them, or rather a decreased stamina use.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that
There's so
almost
much
everyone will migrate from the Stone Axe as soon as they can, because the specific tools are just better at doing whatever their specific task is. But early on, pretty much every player is going to have that Stone Axe.
It was just horrible before, though, wasn't it? Because you just couldn't get anything done.
Yeah, it would take you ages to get anything done. But with the Stone Axe, you've got a little bit more leeway with it. I'm slowly making my way up. Another big change to Alpha 18. Food poisoning is a real problem. There are very few things that are safe to eat anymore. Pretty much everything you make, food-wise, has a 4% chance of giving you food poisoning. Just straight up, you're probably never going to be able to get away from that. Certain things, which I happen to, greatly approve of.
I see a temperate town. I'll head for it.
Ah, marvellous. I see the edge of the world. We're on the very, very edge of the world.
We're on the edge of the world.
I can see the desert in the distance. So, looks like snowy biome, probably temperate, probably desert. Okay, so the odds are that's all this side of the map has. Is one of the first times I've ever actually been on the very edge of the map in 7 days.
Yeah, I've never seen the edge of the map.
I see a house.
Just go in the direction.
I can sort of see. Yeah, I can see the tiny little town that you're at now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not at there yet, but
yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
heading in that direction.
So going up the mountains, as with real life, it's a good
It helped
idea
me
if
to
you're trying to
see
get
where I need
oriented.
to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me make my way.
Is that like
down.
another trader, or is that?
They may well be.
Yes,
if
that's
we're
another trader.
Really, that is
Yeah.
fantastic luck. Ooh, this place has a workbench, possibly.
Yeah, 2 traders really close together. Amazing. I'll wait for you to come down because you're close to me, I think, now.
It's a destroyed one. Now, there's always a reason. I've got a landmine. How interesting. It's always wise to check out destroyed workbenches, destroyed cement mixers, anything like that. Because in Alpha 18, there is a not insubstantial chance that a destroyed version of
Aavak,
anything...
are you at a trader as well?
No, I'm moving towards
I was going
you,
to say, that would be amazing if there were 3 right next to each other. My goodness me.
That would be ridiculously OP. This would turn into surviving the apocalypse through mercantilism.
Yes.
There would be no reason to fight or do it. I'm going to buy low and sell high. Apocalypse tycoon. But if you check a destroyed work table, so a cement mixer, workbench, a forge, whatever, there is a not insubstantial chance it's going to contain a schematic for how to make that thing. So always check them.
Except for all of the things that I looked at the traders.
Coal node. Well, we've got some really good mining around here. Coal. There we go. Another thing that Alpha 18 has done to kind of streamline the game a little bit. Oh, what are you? Lead, I'm thinking. Let me have a quick look. Is a lot of things are no longer gated. So, for example, this is lead. There we go. You're not going to need an anvil to make certain things on the forge. The anvil will just allow forging a little bit easier. There are some, for example, you still do need a crucible in order to make any steel. But steel isn't gated behind a player level anymore. Building a forge isn't gated behind a player level. A motorbike isn't gated behind a player level. It's just gated behind having the correct skills and perks purchased. That's all. Right, so have you popped into this trader at all, Sheila?
No, I've just run straight past because we are running out of time to find somewhere to bunker down.
That's
We're
a very
at
good point,
6:15.
actually, yeah.
So that's why I ran straight for the town, so we can try and find somewhere.
No worries. I'll abandon what I was doing, kind of. Sort of abandoning what I was doing. A tiny bit abandoning what I was doing. I keep seeing destroyed workbenches. I need to check. Sorry, trader. It's fine. I know you've got this. Right. continuing on towards Sheilab. We're going to try and settle down nearby a town. We are going to be building our own base and horde base, but we're probably going to have them distinct. Separate entities that we have to travel between. Unlike the previous series where our base was the horde base.
Ah, I'm so bad with spears. Sorry.
Oh, bless.
I'm fighting a zombie and like I try to throw a spear and it literally just goes down at the ground. It doesn't
Hold it down. You've
you
got to like
hold
build
it
it
down
up.
to throw it further. Right.
Yep, exactly.
I'll just practice that a second.
We have so far, or rather, I mean, the only thing we now need to be able to make our own ammunition is a steady supply of brass. But I have found a node for mining coal, a node for mining iron. Well, actually, you don't need iron, but a node for mining lead and nitrate powder. So we can make
super well done
gunpowder.
for that, by the way.
We can make the bullet tips, and all that remains then is the brass, which we should be able to find fairly easily. And again, we since the forges themselves aren't gated anymore, we can go straight up, get forges, make all of the necessary components, and then just make the ammo we need.
I just walked straight over a crawler.
Oops.
Oopsie.
Did it mind? Okay, so do you want to settle in this location?
Yep.
I haven't had a good look at the town itself, but this seems like a
at
good
least for
place.
the first night, anyway.
Couple of buildings here. It is very much a town, not a city. So this is not going to have. Oh, watch out, Sheila. Let me know when you're walking in front of me.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I would feel
Hey, I worked out how
wretched.
to use the spear. Yay.
Well done. I would feel utterly wretched if I speared you.
Yeah.
What a horrible way to die. On that note, before we go and check this place out, make a bedroll
Oh, yes.
and place it down. I think we should both do that. There we go. But yeah, it is getting on now, so you're quite right in saying that we should...
Yeah, it's always like that on the
prioritize
first day.
getting
You've got to
in
be so fast if you want to visit the trader and settle.
I would like a simpler point of interest. This one looks like it might actually be expensive. We could try it.
I've done that one before and it is expensive. However, you can just do the top, and settle in it.
Oh wait, I think I recognize this one. I think I know. Yeah, I think I know the one. You know what? I think what a wonderful place to make our base. Sure, we'll try, but understand. I'm not gonna spoil this for our viewers. But this is one of the points of interest that we were actually fortunate enough.
I'm just saying that I know it. I'm not saying that
This is one that we've definitely checked out on the Dappling server, and it's quite an interesting one. Anyone who has played Alpha 18 is probably sat there rubbing their hands with glee, wondering if we're going to get too tempted and not be able to resist going deeper into this POI. But yeah.
Break a window or...
I think you can climb up.
Climb up the trellises. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
There is always a way in.
I was pretty delighted when I found out you could climb up trellises. I was like, yay, it's so cool.
Yeah. There is always a way into a point of interest. You don't ever have to build your way in or break your way in. It's just that sometimes it's not obvious what mechanic you can use to access a place. So, but again, I find the stories that you uncover by investigating a point of interest the way it was designed to be investigated are always worth it. Anything there?
No.
I mean, this might just be a roof. Some of the doors downstairs may be open. I mean, I wouldn't want to just like camp out on a roof. That seems incredibly boring. Oh, poop. Is that window open? No. Well, it may be a case that there will be an alternate entrance that isn't strictly on the property. Check the doors, though. See if any of them are unlocked.
Okay.
That's another one.
Locked
it's very easy
there.
To assume that they're all locked, but it's not always the case. But in some cases, it is a matter of knowing where to look, and it's not always obvious. In this case, I'm fairly certain I would be able to locate the alternate entrance, but I would prefer to go through the house. Let's go and have a look around. That being said, as much as I say there's always a way in,
I'm sure
there probably are some where.
Right, I'm gonna just hack my way in. I think because we need to get in here soon.
Sure. Okay. We can go through one of the windows, but I'm certain there's probably another way. Especially given that there's a light down here. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're going through, I'll come in with you. But again, as I was saying, whilst I am fairly confident that there's almost always a way to access a point of interest that doesn't involve breaking into it, in the addition of lockpicks, I think, may have changed that a little bit. Yes. And that's a very new thing to Alpha 18. So there may be times where they assume, yeah, you can gain entry without having to resort to demolishing stuff. And that might be the difference there. Right, well, this is a isolated little room.
Rubbish way in then.
Okay, it's fine. And ooh, there we are. Wall safe. Not going to worry about that for now. I am
all the time in the world to worry about that later.
Yeah. I'm just looting behind you so I don't get...
yeah, there's a cupboard around the corner that's probably got a zombie in it.
Do you want to plink an arrow into it?
Yeah.
Yes?
No zombie in the one side. There's two sides to it. No zombie in the other side.
Okay.
Oh, two of my arrows, though. How dare.
Well, it happens. Right. Okay.
Right. Sleeper on the floor. Two sleepers on the floor in here.
Okay. Do you want me to go open up with a spear throw?
I can try and get an arrow into one of them, maybe.
Sure, if you like. Stay stealth for it, though.
I am.
Yeah. Nice shot.
Oh, shoulder shot, sorry.
Oh, between his legs. That's unfortunate. Come on. There we go. One in the leg. One in the chest. And he's down. But hold tight while I collect my spears. Before we go for the next one. Gonna get an angle on her. We don't know if there might be another one deeper in the kitchen. I don't think there is, but you can never tell. Have you got your spear ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go for her first. Wake her up. There we go.
Oh.
Okay, going for the second. Ah, I missed it. Okay, I can't afford to stand still there. Need to grab my spear. Well done. There she goes. She's down.
Okay, cool.
Thank you very much for the backup there, Sheila. That was wonderful.
Sometimes you do need to use melee.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if it's not facing you, you've got your opportunity to.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a case of being careful with it and not just relying on it all the time.
Yeah. In Alpha 17, we were in the very fortunate position that we were super confident with melee. As a result, quite often, we would elect not to waste ammo on something we could just go in and beat up. When there's two players, then there's a lot more opportunity to use tactics that distract the enemy and prevent them from focusing their attack on you. But now this is a really big button, one I think is going to catch off a lot of people. That's the way you got in, Sheila. There we go. I knew it. We didn't properly explore the roof.
Yeah,
look
going
up.
Through the roof up there.
Yeah. The roof is destroyed over here. I am certain that there's almost
I would have
never
been
a
totally
reason why
happy had we not been like so close to night on the first day to explore and try and find the way in. It's just for this one, you know. And
no, absolutely. Absolutely. I just felt a little bad, literally just after saying, yeah, there's always a way in. You should always look for the way in. And it was like, oh, actually, no, we're just going to break in. Maybe not this time.
That'll be the only one that I feel the need to do that. But I was just like, we've spent like an hour of game time already looking into this, and we haven't found it yet. So
no, good call. I've got only a few more seconds before they're going to wake up. So make sure your hotbar is full of spears and other things you might need.
Okay.
This area obviously is a particularly dangerous one. It gets much more dangerous over time. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to pop a... I can definitely hear a sleeper nearby. I'm going to pop a frame down in the window and upgrade it.
I don't have enough plant fibers for a stone spear. I forgot that.
I've got 70. I'll pass them on to you in
Drop
just a
me some.
moment. I'm just going to upgrade this to prevent anything from trying to get through from the front.
I'm going to start just
Okay, there we
taking the
go.
things out of the way that are going to... that we might
Yeah, of course.
walk
Yeah,
over.
that's a good call. There are a couple of doors we haven't even gone through, but here,
The
let me go.
bathroom
Let's go
seems
into the
to be
kitchen.
clear. That door there that I've closed is to the basement, so we need to stick over that door.
Wonderful,
Okay.
wonderful. Yeah. No, that's a good call. I don't think we strictly need to board up windows that have some obscuring material on the other side of them, but it doesn't hurt to be just extra certain that nothing's going to see me. Right, especially because we're going to be stood in this light. But here you go. Here's a bunch of plant fibers for you.
Wonderful, just so I can make sure I got enough spears.
Yeah. I'm actually going to take down these boards just so I can board up these windows. I mean, ultimately, if we plan to make this into a bit of a base camp, at least for this town,
Yeah.
then it makes sense to tidy it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Probably want to do
absolutely.
something with that roof, honestly. Make it non-accessible. And at some point, tear down one of the doors and replace it with one of our own that we can then use.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, it was you. Oh, that was a soft sound.
Sorry.
I thought there might have been a zombie outside. No, it was my fault. Alright.
I'm just getting rid of all the rubbish so that if we move around or jump around the surfaces, whatever, we've got no... And also it tidies it up a bit as well, makes it look smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Get rid of this chair, it looks skanky.
But that is a big problem straight above us. That open roof.
We can fix
the
that.
zombies.
If we want.
I'm not sure
frames.
the zombies will pass through there, so we might be okay.
Worst we'll get up there is probably a vulture.
Yeah, but vultures are nasty.
They are nasty.
They do cause a lot of bleeding damage. Because that's a half block. I can't put this on it. Tell you what I can do. I can pop it on this table. I'm going to pop a little bit of fuel in it. I've managed to pick up some cooking pots, so...
Yeah, I got a cooking pot as well. I haven't got any grills or anything like that yet, but a cooking pot we do have.
There you go. That's nice. Gives us a little bit of light and also warmth. You get a little bit of a buff from being near to a fire. Warming. Cold resist, basically. That makes sense. Right, okay. I've got some cotton. I'm going to start breaking this down. But for the time being, I'm going to make a storage chest so that we can pop some items in there. And then perhaps we can have a chat about our
skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, I'm going to drop off everything that I don't particularly want to have on me. Torch can stay. Food, definitely, but I'm going to pop the raw ingredients into the storage chest as well, I think. There we go. Get the bandages. Sewing kits are used for making mods, which is actually pretty cool that we've got so many already. Vitamins can go in as well. There we go. Right, that's a much better inventory situation. I'm going to make a bunch of cloth fragments and make a couple of extra spare bandages.
Yeah.
Right, you can go ahead and use the storage chest for now.
Wonderful.
Right. Whilst Sheilab's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and have a quick look at skills. There are so many. Sheila, would you like to do as we did the first night in Alpha 17 and kind of take it in turns to glance through the skills?
We can do, yeah. Just a quick.
I'll let you finish
tour, though, because people did say it was a little long.
Well, it was, to be fair. But on the first night, we're not going to go doing anything too crazy because, especially with this point of interest, if it is the one that Sheila and I think it is, going into the basement might be a very, very quick way to die early.
Yes. We might want to just skill up a tiny bit before we do the basement.
Yeah. Well, I already know that I'm going to be skilling up in agility, but do you have a particular attribute that you think you're going to be putting a lot of time into?
Probably perception, and then depending on what we want to do, I'll either do some farming, do some living off the land sort of thing, which I think is under like fortitude, or I'll take intelligence and I'll do some of the engineering and grease monkey and stuff like that. So depending on
that
what we
actually
want
be pretty cool to mix it up.
I think whoever
from what we
does
did last
intelligence, the other one should do fortitude, basically.
Okay, yeah, sure. One thing that I didn't actually cover when I was talking about the fact that there are schematics, there are now like magazines, whereas previously you would have like magazines and they'd give you a temporary buff to a certain skill. The magazines are now permanent perks. Now, each magazine or each volume of any particular magazine set gives, a modest perk. You could live with it or live without it. Doesn't really make much difference. But when you've got all of the volumes in a particular set, the end perk is typically a pretty big one. For example, Lucky Looters end perk. Each volume gives you an ability to find a specific thing more often in loot. But if you get them all, then enemies have a higher chance of just dropping loot all the time. That's actually a pretty huge thing. But that was just a bit of an aside. Would you like to walk us through perception on the whistle stop?
Yes.
Call?
So perception is the measure of your sensory awareness. Increasing perception raises the headshot bonus and dismemberment chance with spears, rifles, and explosive weapons. So throwing bombs and stuff, rifles, spears, all of that.
Yep.
It also covers lockpicking, which is fairly self-explanatory. The infiltrator, which is less damage from traps. Animal tracker.
That one's a pretty important one as well because it affects mines as well. So you'll take less damage from them, but it'll also take longer for them to trigger. So in many cases, you won't even be there when it goes off. If like you were driving through an area with this perk pretty high, you'd probably already be so far away that you're not going to be hit by the explosion.
Yeah, at level 5, you take 50% less damage from landmines, and you can pick them up.
Yeah, that is a huge one. Being able to just repurpose other people's landmines, that's pretty enormous.
Okay, so you can track animals, and the better you are at it, the bigger and better the animals you find, and also, it's just better animals as you get up in that tree, isn't it, really?
Each level increases it. Yeah, you add a different type of animal to your radar sense.
Penetrator, you find weak spots in a target's armor and can use armor-penetrating rifle bullets to shoot through multiple organic targets. So that would be a really good thing if you had like a corridor or any kind of lining up of zombies, sort of horde base, and you were using armor-piercing rounds. Very useful. As
with the skills in Alpha 17, there seems to be like a milestone point at skill level 3, where the first 2 levels just give you the basic ability of that skill increasing in strength, as does 3, 4, and 5. But at 3, you add, typically, not always, you add a new ability. So for 3, for the Penetrator, that's where you can start shooting through multiple targets. Up until that point, you just ignore increasing amounts of their body armor. But interesting note with the Penetrator, it's not just organic targets. You can go through blocks.
Yeah.
As you get high, like at level 5, you can shoot through a block that has 1,000 hit points.
So you just walk up with your rifle to like a door and just go.
Yeah, well, you could just kill whatever's on the other side. You don't need. Yeah. I don't think it'll destroy the door. I don't think it'll just straight up to 1,000 points of damage. It'll
penetrate the door and
it'll go through the door. That's a pretty amazing ability.
And then you got Lucky Looter, which everyone knows what that does, and Salvage Operations, which everyone knows kind of what that is too. So it's better at looting, better at scrapping down cars and things.
Though I will mention one thing that will apply to all of the skills. There is no longer a single skill for crafting. Oh, there is definitely a zombie outside. I can hear it wandering, but it doesn't seem to have noticed us. Whereas intelligence dictated the quality of anything you built in Alpha 17, that's no longer the case here. If you want to make a good rifle, you have to understand rifles, and you understand rifles by having levels in Deadeye. That's the way that works, and it's true of every type of weapon and tools. Tools, that is, pickaxes, axes, all of that, come under one header of just tools. But when it comes to any kind of weapon, that is your ability to make a quality 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, is entirely dependent on your ability with that weapon. It doesn't have anything to do with intelligence anymore.
Okay, do you want to do strength now?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so
Yeah, you go through it because I'll do fortitude.
because you can add your adding bits that you seem to be finding all over the place. So with strength, we'll still be here on day 5 explaining the rules. So strength, you've got basically your muscular might. Increasing strength raises headshot bonus and dismemberment chance with shotguns, clubs, and sledgehammers. So if you're a club and sledgehammer lover, this is the one to go for. But they're not as easy to use nowadays until you get maybe a higher level than them. So yeah. Caution there. So your sexual Tyrannosaurus, which is your sort of a melee weapon, stamina increase is under that as well. Pack mule, obviously carrying more. Master Chef is under that one. So we're going to need someone to take a bit of strength for cooking. Yeah. So it might be that someone will need to take strength and fortitude so they can do cooking and living off the land, and then someone else will need to do the intelligence-based stuff, probably. Yeah. And then you've got your minus 69er and your motherload also under that one, which is more damage to blocks that you're mining, and then also more resources coming back from the blocks that you're mining. The combat perks, which I skipped over earlier, you've got boomstick, so more damage with shotguns, Pummel Pete, which is knocking people senseless with clubs and bats, and then
single hand club
melee
weapons, and then single skull crusher is heavy, like two-handed weapons. There are now stone sledgehammers, so you can get into sledgehammers right away if you want to. You no longer have to wait until iron to be able to make a sledgehammer, which is. I think they kind of
realised how much people love to use sledgehammers as a weapon. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, okay, so in Fortitude, the combat types, I'm not going to go over their specific special abilities because they're largely the same from Alpha 17, and indeed, it's exactly the same thing. Fortitude, as with agility and intelligence, it just increases the damage that you're going to do with your combat perks. So, for example, as with strength, you get higher headshot bonus and dismemberment chance and all that sort of stuff. And it's more or less the case with all of the attributes. But fortitude is where you go if you want to be a pugilist or you want to use automatic weapons. And the perks in there, heavy armor is pretty normal. In fact, pretty much everything in Fortitude has already been there in Alpha 17, so we really don't need to go over it. Iron Gut Cardio. Cardio is in here instead of Agility, and I think it was in Agility before, which is the only real change there. As for Agility, Agility covers 3 different types of weapons. Bladed weapons, so machetes, hunting knives, pistols, all types of pistols, and archery, which also includes crossbows. And again, just increasing agility will make you do better headshots and dismemberment with that. As for athletics perks, you've now got flurry of blows under agility rather than under strength.
I think that makes sense.
It does make sense, yeah, because you're being more agile and you're hitting faster, not necessarily harder. Light armor parkour, exactly the same. Hidden striking from the shadows. Both more or less the same thing. Some things got slight nuances, but they're not massive things. And do you want to go through intelligence or shall I?
Yeah, I'll do intelligence. So under intelligence, you've now got a couple of things that are kind of new. So electrocutioner, which is the new stun baton, which we didn't have before. So now an intelligent space character does have a weapon that they can sort of level up and really specialize into. And it looks like they also, rather than really going for a gun under intelligence, it's more about the turrets, carrying around junk turrets, put them down, kill all the zombies, move on, that sort of thing.
With the stun baton, it doesn't electrocute natively. It builds up a charge. I guess it's kind of like a kinetic thing. You have to hit something a couple of times and then it'll be charged, and the next hit will electrocute what you connect with. With the turret syndrome, you can use the turret as a gun. You carry it around and can fire it like a gun, but the alternate mode, instead of aiming, you get the option to place it down on the ground, and as long as you're within range of it, it'll be an automated turret. Not a particularly strong one, but, it can do the job.
Okay, so you've then got your better barterer, your daring adventurer, your charismatic nature. So they're all your trader perks, basically. Mm-hmm. But you've then also got physician under influence perks, so you can use your medicine and health items more effectively. And then you've got your crafting of your advanced engineering, your grease monkey, and your science, which I'm pretty sure were all there before, and everyone kind of knows what they are if they're familiar with the game at all. So they've not really changed too much.
Yeah. The only thing of note in advanced engineering is that, again, aside from the fact that nothing is level gated, quite a lot of these, for example, in advanced engineering, the perks are you can make things in the forge faster or for less. That's actually a pretty nice new addition. I personally, I quite like the idea that being a better engineer allows you to be more efficient at being an engineer. So it is definitely still worth putting levels into it, even if you're not necessarily going to unlock new devices or what have you, which is where quite a lot of it was in Alpha 17.
So, Mr. Aavak, I do believe a choice kind of needs to be made at the moment as to who wants to go for intelligence to do the sort of engineering, the grease monkey, the science, the medicine.
Well, as I had the opportunity to check out all of the crafting and that sort of stuff and the intelligence-focused items in the last series, I think you should this time.
So will that make you our cook and farmer then?
Sure, yeah, I can. I was the cook and farmer last time as well, but I'm sure.
But at least it's now split up between us so that we can sort of try and specialize a bit more.
For my combat, I am going agility again because I just like gunplay with pistols.
Enough.
So that's what I'm going through there.
I want to go perception for rifles.
Yeah, sure. And then honestly, with strength, there's enough things in there like pack mule, sexual tyrannosaurus, minus 69 and motherload that pretty much we're both going to want.
Yeah.
We're both going to want a lot of the stuff in strength. So I think that's the one that we're probably both going to be putting points into. And I imagine each of us being able to cook a few things is not going to go amiss.
I'm going to eventually want a lot of points in healing factor as well. I like a lot of the fortitude stuff. So I may even pop some stuff into machine guns as well as rifles. I might do a bit of a fortitude perception split there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I'll be putting points into agility. I am absolutely going to be putting a point into fortitude and
my first
healing
point's
factor.
gone into healing factor, yeah.
Yeah, it always makes sense to have that as one of the first. But we will wait to properly go through our skill selection and head on down into the basement and start clearing out this, what may be our home for the rest of the series, in the next episode. But one last thing that I wanted to add in, something that I may have neglected to mention before. We are actually playing more or less on complete default settings with this series, bar for one very important addition. The Horde Night can roam by up to 2 days. That means the Horde Night can happen as early as 5 days since the last Horde Night, or up to 9 days since the last Horde Night. It still aims for 7, but it's got a little bit of give either way. So we might be in for some surprises, and I hope you're going to be looking forward to that. But until next time, and as always, take care, everyone.
And keep being awesome.